All right, so picture this. Just a typical ordinary morning in the English countryside, sun shining, birds chirping, the kind of day where nothing particularly out of the ordinary is expected, right?
Yeah, sounds peaceful.
Exactly, but then, bam! Out of nowhere, something completely unthinkable happens.
Oh.
A well-respected, distinguished gentleman, just moments after bidding farewell to his loved ones, suddenly bursts into flames. And not from, an external source, nothing around him. It's as if he ignited from within. Spontaneous combustion.
Wow, that's got to be a terrifying sight.
Oh, absolutely. Shocking and bewildering. And it's this very unsettling mystery that we're going to be deep diving into today. We're venturing into a particularly fiery chapter, episode 12 from the first season of a certain science fiction series that still holds a certain captivating allure for so many.
I see. And what kind of sources do we have for this deep dive today?
Well, you, my friend, have shared some fascinating glimpses behind the curtain with me about this episode, how this intense and rather unforgettable story was brought to life. Ah, yes. I remember this one. It was pretty wild. And translating the idea of pyrokinesis, the ability to conjure flames with the mind, into something visually compelling and narratively gripping, well, that's quite a feat.
A feat indeed. And this episode, it operates within what was often referred to as a monster of the week structure, a standalone, almost like a thrill ride, a self-contained enigma. You don't really need any prior knowledge to be sucked in.
Yeah, those are great for just jumping into the story right away.
And at the heart of this particular episode is a shadowy figure, imbued with pyrokinetic abilities and seemingly targeting the British aristocracy.
Intriguing. Very intriguing. So how did the creators take this seemingly impossible idea of pyrokinesis and make it believable, scary even? I'm ready to dive in if you are.
Absolutely. Let's do it. So we begin with this shocking, almost visceral combustion in Bosham, England. It happens so quickly with no warning, no buildup. It's designed to shock, to just completely throw you off balance.
I remember that opening scene, and it absolutely worked. Talk about setting a tone. Oh, for sure. And then, right after, we have this almost eerie discovery of an audio tape in Mulder and Scully's car.
Ooh, a classic bit of mystery drawing us right into the heart of things.
Right. It's like a classic Hitchcock move, dropping us right into the action. And then, just when you think things can't get weirder, it's revealed that there was a similar, equally bizarre death 6 months prior.
Really? So there's a precedent, a pattern emerging.
Exactly. And guess what? It also involved a member of parliament. So suddenly, we're not dealing with just a random occurrence, but something far more sinister.
I see where this is going. Those are some pretty big, high-profile targets.
Right. The stakes are already high.
Yeah.
Then, as if things weren't complicated enough, we meet Phoebe Green.
Phoebe Green. And who is she?
Well, she's a Scotland Yard inspector, but here's the thing. She's also an old acquaintance of Mulder's from his Oxford days, and let's just say her arrival doesn't exactly make Scully comfortable.
A blast from the past. And I'm guessing not the welcome kind, at least for Scully.
Exactly. So now we've got personal history mixed in with a high-stakes investigation.
I can see how that might complicate things.
Yeah.
Throw Mulder off his game, maybe?
And Phoebe, well, she brings a rather grim explanation with her. She believes that someone is deliberately causing these spontaneous combustions, these MPs bursting into flames, and then, get this, sending rather disturbing letters to their wives.
Ugh, that's chilling.
Chilling indeed. The investigation eventually leads the agents across the Atlantic over to Cape Cod, where they meet Sir Malcolm Marston, a man who barely escaped a similar fiery fate.
So now the mystery's gone international. It expands the scope of the whole thing.
Absolutely. They consult with an arson expert who offers a possible, though perhaps unlikely, explanation. Rocket fuel.
Rocket fuel. Why rocket fuel?
Well, it burns incredibly hot and it leaves virtually no residue, making it hard to detect. But Mulder, ever the believer, throws out another possibility. Pyrokinesis.
So we're back to the supernatural. I love how the show always plays with that line between the rationale and the, well, outlandish.
Oh, absolutely. It keeps you guessing. And that's when we meet our shadowy figure for the first time. He appears under the unassuming guise of a gardener named Bald at the Marsden estate. But right from the start, there's something, well, off about him. A quiet, unsettling presence.
Okay, I'm sensing some red flags here.
Yeah.
So what does this Bob do that's so unsettling?
Well, picture this. He lights a cigarette, but not with a lighter or a match, seemingly just by willing it to happen.
Wow. Okay, now that is creepy. A subtle but powerful display of, well, something.
Right. It's this chilling little moment that reveals a hint of the terrifying abilities lurking beneath that seemingly ordinary facade. And then the detail about the poison cough syrup meant for the chauffeur, well, that adds another layer of calculated evil to his character.
Clearly, this Bob is not just some random pyromaniac. He's got a plan. But who is he really? And what's his endgame?
Well, things escalate pretty quickly, Bob. He unleashes his deadly ability in a Boston bar, seemingly setting the whole place ablaze with, well, just a look, it seems.
Whoa, hold on. So he goes from these targeted attacks to a very public display of power. That's a big jump.
It is, and witnesses describe seeing something beyond natural explanation, fueling the pyrokinetic theory even more. And then, with an almost chilling ease, he steps into the role of the ailing chauffeur, becoming even more embedded in the Marsden family.
Oh, that's smart. He's playing the long game here, getting closer to his targets and gaining their trust.
Exactly. And let's not forget about his interactions with the Marsden children. Those seemingly innocent, playful fire tricks, offering them cigarettes, it all paints a very disturbing picture.
Yeah, that's definitely a big red flag. It's like he's trying to normalize his dangerous behavior, especially to these vulnerable kids.
Right. And so, the trap is set. A gathering is arranged at a Boston hotel, and Phoebe and Mulder go undercover to try to catch him. But their little charade leads to a rather tense moment when Scully arrives and sees them together.
Uh-oh, caught in the act. This could be a recipe for some serious tension.
Oh, it is. But there are more pressing matters at hand because Scully spots Bob lurking in the shadows. Something's not right.
I bet. So what happens next?
Suddenly, the fire alarm starts blaring. The Marsden children, they're trapped up on the 14th floor. And Mulder, despite his best efforts to overcome it, is paralyzed by a deep-seated fear of fire. He can't move, can't help, and guess who steps in, seemingly to save the day?
Let me guess. Our friendly neighborhood pyromaniac, Bob.
Bingo. He rescues the children, further solidifying his heroic image in the eyes of the Marstons, who are completely unaware of his true nature.
Classic villain moves, manipulating the situation to his advantage. But Scully's not fooled, is she?
Not one bit. She's been doing some digging, and she starts to see a pattern emerging, a very disturbing pattern. She discovers the name Cecil L'Ively appearing again and again.
Okay, so who is Cecil L'Ively, and why is his name popping up everywhere?
Well, it turns out his name keeps appearing on the employment records of various domestic staff who worked for those who spontaneously combusted. And guess what? Each time, he's reported to have perished in the fires.
Oh, no, that's way too convenient. Like, way too convenient.
Right. And then she finds a recent visa application under his name. He was trying to skip town. But the final piece of the puzzle that really seals the deal, the composite sketch of the Boston bar arsonist. It's a dead ringer for Bob.
Uh-huh. So Bob is actually Cecil L'Ively, and he's been orchestrating these fires all along. What a twist.
A twisted genius, almost. Mulder races back to the Marsden estate in Cape Cod, where he finds Sir Malcolm and Phoebe in a rather compromising position. Awkward. But more importantly, he finds evidence of rocket fuel, confirming his suspicions.
So the arson expert was right about the rocket fuel, but it was L'Ively using it, not some random accident.
Exactly. So Malcolm, he finally realizes the horrifying truth about his seemingly helpful gardener, but it might be too late, because just then the entire house erupts in flames.
Oh no. This is it, the final showdown. How do they get out of this one?
Well, it's a chaotic scramble as Mulder and Scully try to evacuate everyone. Mulder has to confront his fear head-on to reach the children trapped upstairs. Meanwhile, Scully confronts L'Ively, who reveals his terrifying plan. He's coated the entire house in rocket fuel.
Oh, wow. That is so messed up. He was going to take them all out. But what about Phoebe?
Thinking quickly, she grabs some accelerant and throws it right at L'Ively. In a truly unforgettable moment, he bursts into flames, screaming, "You can't fight fire with fire."
Wow, what a visual. What a way to go. That's got to be the end of him, right?
You'd think so, right? After everything settles, Phoebe leaves, leaving Mulder another audio tape that, wisely, he chooses to ignore. But there's a twist, a final chilling detail that lingers long after the episode ends.
There's more. What could be more chilling than self-immolation?
Despite suffering horrific burns, Cecil L'Ively survives. And not only does he survive, but he's healing at an incredibly accelerated rate in the hospital. The final shot is of him asking a nurse for, what else? A cigarette?
No way. That's just disturbing. It's like his obsession with fire is just inextinguishable.
Okay, so now let's move away from the episode itself and take a peek behind the scenes at some of the interesting trivia and little-known facts surrounding its creation. For example, did you know that this entire episode was actually inspired by real-life accounts of pyromaniacs?
Really? So they took inspiration from real-life cases? That's pretty fascinating and a bit creepy, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. It definitely adds another layer of realism to the episode. And speaking of realism, fire was actually the very first appearance of the brilliantly unsettling Mark Sheppard, the actor who played Cecil L'Ively.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that. He went on to do some amazing work in other shows like Supernatural and Battlestar Galactica, playing some truly memorable characters.
It's always interesting to see where those actors, those faces we come to know and love, got their start. And this one might surprise you. Gillian Anderson, our very own skeptical Agent Scully, reportedly has a very real fear of fire.
Really? That's incredible. She had to face her fear head on while filming all those intense fire scenes. Talk about commitment to the craft.
Right. It probably added an extra layer of authenticity to her performance. And get this, did you know that Amanda Pays, who played Phoebe Green, was married to Corbin Burnson, David Duchovny's co-star from LA Law?
Wow, small world. Hollywood's a lot smaller than you think, I guess.
And their on-screen chemistry even sparked rumors of an off-screen romance, although our sources say they remained good friends. Now, one of the most surprising things about fire is that it officially establishes Mulder's pyrophobia, his fear of fire. You know, it's this huge character reveal, but it's actually rarely mentioned in later episodes.
That's interesting. Maybe it was deemed too limiting for his character long-term.
Perhaps. Fire was also one of the most expensive episodes of the entire first season to produce, mostly due to all the real fire effects and pyrotechnics used.
It was certainly spectacular to watch, all those flames, the explosions. So realistic, it's not surprising that it cost a lot to create.
And did you notice the clever wordplay in Cecil L'Ively's name? If you say it slowly, it sounds like Cecil L'Ively, which is, well, pretty fitting considering his deadly ability to extinguish lives with fire.
That's dark, but brilliant. I love when writers sneak in those little details.
Now, the character of Phoebe Green sparked quite a bit of controversy amongst fans back in the day. Many viewers found her to be manipulative, even a bit too flirtatious, especially with Mulder. She quickly became one of those love-to-hate characters.
I can see why. She definitely disrupted the established Mulder and Scully dynamic. Speaking of disrupting, the production team's dedication to using real fire for the episode's special effects was intense, to say the least.
Oh, for sure. Mark Sheppard had to actually duck for cover during one scene to avoid getting seriously burned, and even David Duchovny got a minor burn that reportedly left a mark.
Wow, talk about dedication. That's going above and beyond for realism.
And here's a fun little coincidence. The show's hairstylist for the first season was named Malcolm Marsden, the same name as the aristocrat in the episode, and the exterior shots of the Boston Hotel, those were actually filmed at the Venable Plaza Hotel in Vancouver.
Vancouver. Didn't they film a lot of the show there?
They did. And get this, that particular hotel had actually been rebuilt after, wait for it, a fire. What are the chances?
That's crazy. Talk about a strange coincidence. But that's filmmaking for you. Always full of surprises.
Absolutely. And here's another fun fact. Phoebe Green was actually considered for a recurring role in the series, but it never happened.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder what her character arc would have been like if she'd stuck around.
We can only imagine.
Yeah.
And finally, we have some insights from the creators themselves. Chris Carter, the show's creator, wanted to explore Mulder's past and introduce a strong female Scotland Yard detective. And R.W. Goodwin, one of the producers, he talked about how difficult those fire stunts were to pull off, but how proud he was of the final result.
Well, they certainly pulled it off spectacularly. That final confrontation with Lively was one of the most intense scenes in the whole series.
As we wrap up our deep dive into fire, we've revisited a truly fiery and unforgettable episode, a tale of pyrokinesis, deception, and the dangers of obsession. It was a story brought to life by amazing performances and those incredible practical effects. What really stuck with you from this episode, or even just from this deep dive?
It's hard to choose just one thing, but I think what really stands out for me is that unwavering commitment to practical effects.
Yeah.
It just adds a layer of, visceral intensity that you don't always get with CGI.
I totally agree. It makes you feel like you're right there in the middle of the action. So, with that, I'd like to leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder. Considering those real-life epos of pyromania and the fictional leap into pyrokinesis, what does this episode say about our humanity's fascination with and fear of fire? That duality that's always existed. And even more unsettling, with Lively surviving, What does it say about the destructive forces in our world, those things that are so hard to extinguish? What are we left with when even fire can't stop them?
Those are great questions. I think I'll be thinking about those for a while.
As always, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.
See you then.